That's right. In the oggm, you do place your trust. And so far, about a 75% batting average. Good morning and welcome back, my friends. It is I, the oggm, warts and all, broadcasting live from Site B, located in the mythical town of Fresno, Nevada, which looks surprisingly like the California coast. It's Saturday, it's about 8:30, and we have the 10 most anticipated tabletop role-playing games of 2026, according to Ian World, based upon the people who actually took time to vote and knew about this. So yeah, I'm going to give you a second to guess what the most anticipated tabletop role-playing game of 2026 is. Sadly, it's not D&D, because we know they have nothing planned for 2026. Nothing planned. It's certainly not an ad for a product they have planned right there. Yeah, nothing planned, nothing announced. I'm not going to let that go, Wizards of the Coast. All right, so what was your most anticipated tabletop role-playing game? Mind you, it is the, third week of January, so it's still a little early, and some of these that were on the list have been on the list for a while. It's like, look, if you announce a game in 2013 and we're still expecting us to be excited about it in 2026, yeah, no. It's Ian World. I've always had a little trouble with the issue of that list because, one, I don't know what's going to be announced tomorrow. That might be the most anticipated game. And two, if it's a game that's been announced before, it probably shouldn't be on the list again. Well, we said our game was going to come out in 2024. Yeah, it's 2026. Your game's still not out. Stuff happened. Okay, you've had time to make your predictions of what the most anticipated tabletop role-playing game of 2026, according to EN World, was. Now let's see how correct you are. And I'm sorry to say, Jeff Gamesbox, while your vote was on the list, it's not number one. Are you ready? Number 10, Twilight Sword from Two Little Mice Free League. It's a game about Japanese anime, and it has penguins, and it looks pretty fun. Somebody sent me a copy of it, if you remember, or was it the other one? Anyways, JRPG. I know it's not supposed to call them JRPGs, but it is a JRPG. It's an RPG trying to emulate anime and Japanese video games. Will it do the job? Will it won't? I don't know. It's using a D12 system instead of the system Free League normally uses. Number 10, Twilight Sword. I would have thought that would have been higher. Number 9, Old School Essentials 2026 update. Okay, as much as I love Necrotic Gnome and as much as I love Old School Essentials, that's not a new game. It's just a update for the current edition with new art, and it's errata. So I don't think that should be on the list because it's just errata. I'm excited about them fixing some spelling mistakes. Yeah, no, not a new game, but still, congratulations for being number 9. Of all the people who voted, that was the one that was most attractive. The 9th most attractive of all the choices was errata for an existing game. But hey, we love Old School Essentials, so congratulations. But yeah. Number 8 is Discworld, which is second appearance. This is from Terry Pratchett's Discworld series, of course. It appeared first last year, didn't come out last year. Now it's scheduled to come out this year. It's based upon the Discworld books, which I've never read. So I don't know anything about Discworld, but I know there's a lot of them. I know they're sort of tongue-in-cheek. I know they're very popular. The books have been out for years. So that's the question where you go, is there any interest in a role-playing game based upon this IP now in 2025, where the games have been out for years? I mean, you could have said the same thing about Lord of the Rings, like, well, the book's been out forever, but so they're gaming and whatever. But I know there's people who like Discworld. I'm not familiar with Discworld. I've never read the Discworld books. I know about the Hogfather, because that movie's always on Amazon, the Christmas one. There's an animated version and a live action version. So that's all I know about Discworld, and it's Terry Pratchett. Never read them. Should I? I don't know. Anyways, it's number 8. Number 7, The Black Company. This is the second Black Company role-playing game. The first one came out in 2004. I had a copy. Somebody took it. Never got it back. So huge fan of the Black Company books. Read them, you know, when they years ago, loved them, read them again, loved them, read them. You know, it was like one of those books. The first 3 books I read every couple of years. After the first 3 books, the series kind of gets weird and long-winded. But you know, and I just started reading them again last year, and I got to the 4th book, and I was like, yeah, it just doesn't hold up anymore. Also, the franchise is like what, 30 years old? Is there room for a Black Company RPG now? Or I mean, I mean, it's the original dark, grim, dark art world, right? Everybody references when they're talking about the best dark, grim, dark fantasy world. It is a world ripe for role playing. 10 years ago, I don't know if the IP has the wheels to be big now. I mean, he did just come out with a new book set in the world, so maybe that's why. I don't know. Is anybody excited about a Black Company RPG? Anyways, it was number 7. Number 6 is The Broken Empires by Evil Baby Entertainment. You deserve to win just for calling your company Evil Baby Entertainment. It's a fantasy world that apparently draws on over 125 role-playing games. It's sim-light, with simple, fast mechanics, detailed simulation aspects, no stats, classes, or levels in combat. No stats, no classes or levels in combat is fast. The game made over $500,000 in Kickstarters with a whole bunch of endorsements from prominent gaming. I don't know anything about it. Draws on over 125. So you borrowed things from 125 other games. I'm assuming there are mostly D20 games. So, I mean, really, sim-like, no stats. Okay. I mean, yeah, right. Fudge didn't have stats, right? No classes or levels. Well, point-based games don't have levels. You have points. So I don't know. Classless role-playing, skill-based role-playing. You build your character around skills and skill trees and stuff like that. Sure, it could work. It's number 6. It's the first appearance from Evil Baby Entertainment. You win just for having a company called Evil Baby Entertainment. So even if you weren't number 1, you win in my heart. Zerion13 says no stats. Hello, Zerion13. Welcome to the channel. Fudge had no stats other than hit points. And it was you could add or subtract whatever stats you want. There's been other games where you don't start with stats. And then as you use things, that becomes the stat. You know, Roll for Shoes starts with no stats. Yes, it's a joke game, but still starts with the idea of you know, you're just a dude. And as you do more things, that becomes your stat. You know, if I punch trees a lot and build up my strength, then I don't know. It could work. It could work. Not familiar enough with the mechanics, but it could work. Ars Magica Definitive Edition. Ars Magica, the best fantasy magic system. I think a great game, an amazing game, does not get the attention and love it deserved. I am a huge fan of Ars Magica, huge fan of the Ars Magica magic system. This has been on the list for now like 3 years. It's been out since 1987. They're constantly working on it. So again, should it be on the list? Should it deserve number 5? Because it's like the 3rd or 4th time it's been on the list, and they've been announcing it forever. That said, it's nice to see that there are enough people that rank this in the top 5 as the game they really want to finally see on the market, which means that there's enough people who want to play this game again because it is so underrated, because it's such an unusual idea. But now with everybody talking about Bronstein and collaborative God games like our friend Harmony Ginger runs, it might be a good time for Ars Magica to come back, because it is a game where not only you run one individual, but you run like a whole group and a whole kingdom. And it's hard to explain, but yeah, it's great. Moving on to the top 4. In number 4, Warhammer Fantasy 4Play 5th edition. Not a new game. Just an updated version of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, which is a great game. It's completely different. If you've never had a chance to play it before, it's worth playing. They're doing this. It's career based as opposed to class based, and as you progress, you can switch careers. It's Warhammer, so it's as dark and grim and gritty as you get, and you have access to tons of great, if slightly overpriced figures. I've played Warhammer a couple times. I really love it. It's a really fun system. It's kind of crunchy, kind of different. They've come up with a new thing, so it's always excited to see fantasy, Warhammer stuff come out. But is reprinting in a pre-existing game a new game? A new edition? I mean, D&D 5.5 is a new edition, but it's not a new system. I don't know. Still, nice to know that Warhammer has that many people excited about it. Here we go. In third place, coming in at $13 million, it's Mistborn. This is the expansion of the Cosmere Mistborn role-playing game. So we have the Cosmere $14 million Mistborn role-playing game. And now we have this, which is exploring the world of Mistborn, even though Cosmere is also, I don't know how this works, because it's basically two books about the exact same thing. But hey, $13 million. Now you want to know how well that game is doing? Have you heard anybody talk about it since it was announced? Has anybody played it? Has anybody run it? Has anybody seen it on the shelves? If you look at the top selling role-playing games on drive-thru, it's like number 35. So yeah, $13 million, but I predicted this was going to be a sit on the shelf and gather dust game, and sadly it does look about it. Our good friend Stephen Glicker said he was really excited about it. He was a huge fan of the books. He knew about how the system worked, but I mean, true, it's still early, and it doesn't really have the advertising energy behind it that, say, D&D does. But I mean, $13 million, $14 million for a fucking D&D game. I read one Brandon Sanderson book, and it was so boring and so much dragging on. It just felt like the guy was vomiting out words to fill out. I'll check it out. Versus 400 D&D actual play. I'm putting it on the list. It just feels like if you read a Brandon Sanderson book, it's like he just threw words in order to make the 10,000 page, thing that he seems to be thing. Because I read the book and it was so hard to get through. And it's like one of those books where it just felt like it was written by AI, because 90% of the book was building up to the last 5 pages. So bad. But $14 million. So number 2, Invincible. This is one I actually was excited about. I love the Invincible universe. I love the cartoon. I never had a chance to read the comics because I hate the idea of making Superman the bad guy. But I love the cartoon. I'm very weird that I like all the other characters. I don't give a damn about Mark. The only reason why I like his dad is because it's voiced by J. Jonah Jameson. But I love like Monster Girl and Rex and the whole world. I want to know, is this based upon a role-playing game, or where did this come from? Because it's so cool. I did kickstart this, so we'll see if it ever shows up. It's free league, so we know it's going to have a lot of wasted space, a lot of cool pictures. Hopefully it's going to give the various characters the love that they deserve, as well as give you a system to make your own characters, right? Because that's what you want. Otherwise, everybody's just going to play Omni-Man, right? Or another Vertimite. We're just going to have Vertimite after Vertimite. So that's number 2. Building up to number 1. The most anticipated tabletop role-playing game for 2026, according to EN World, is dun 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 dun. Did not think this was gonna be it, but congratulations to our very good friend Professor DM. The most anticipated tabletop role-playing game as of January 17th, 2026, according to EN World, is Deathbringher by Professor DM, which is an expansion for Shadowdark. So as excited as I am, I'm also like, yeah, but it's just an expansion for shadowdark. You just, I love you, Professor DM. You know that, big fan, big supporter. Very creative, always has some good ideas. You know, maybe the last year or so he's fallen into the dungeon tuber trap that all the others are just, you know, but still, generally. That said, it was not on my list for most anticipated. I did not see this coming. It's an old school game. It's rules like Grim Dark. It used to be his own system, but then he decided to make it Shadowdark. He's working with our friends Stephen Glicker over at Roll for Combat, so that's a good, you know, thing. So basically, he's taken Shadowdark and made it even more Shadowdark. Yeah, I already have Shadowdark. I already have every D20 variation I could ever need. I don't see myself picking this up, unfortunately, unless Professor DM wants to send me a free copy and come on and talk about it, because, you know, yeah. But congratulations. Look, I don't want to kick the guy because, you know, he works hard and the stuff he makes is always professional and he's always kind and he always has good things to say and he's always funny. But it's just a Shadowdark expansion. Wasn't even on my list. I mean, my most anticipated tabletop RPG for 2026 wasn't on the list. I don't know if it's going to come out yet this year. I don't know what the plans are, but it was Rudiger's Almanac by Richard. That's my most anticipated. And not that there's anything new about it because it's just a D20, but I love the look. And sometimes I'll buy a game like Tales from the Loop just because I love the look, and the look is so inspiring. And it's very rare for a game to just grab me by the balls and go, wow. So that's my most anticipated. But of the games on the list was Invisible, because it's superheroes. I love superheroes. I would love to see how superheroes worked using the Free League stuff. I also know it's Free League, so we're going to get a 100-page book with only about 40 pages worth of actual game and then some wasted space. So really, you know, I could have just bought like the I know there's a world guide, which or actually I think there's 2 world guides to Invincible. They're like $70 each. But I kickstarted it. I did the cheapest kickstart, but I kickstarted it. I mean, I'll probably never play it, especially since I'm working on my own superhero role-playing game. Link down below. Because we all know your most anticipated D&D game for 2026 is my game, right? I believe reviewers when they buy the review themselves. True. There are tons of D&D clones out there. Then you just buy the supplements. Again, yeah. Grab your favorite D20 system and then just pick and choose which adventure, which supplement that you like. You know, that's what those supplements that DCC made when they did all the reprints of the D&D stuff and their new one. That's what I do. I have a system that I like, which currently is Shadowdark, AD&D, whatever you want to call it. And then I just pick and choose adventures and mash them into the world. Yeah. So will this be the Shadowdark of 2026 or will it sit on the shelves? I don't know. How well will this do? I think it'll do okay because of the cartoon. It's superheroes, but let's face it, superheroes are a niche within a niche within a niche. This one feels like this ranks up there with DC Draw Steel for me. Feels like a scam. Yeah. Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, huge fan base. Most anticipated? Always nice to see Ars Magica on the list. Does not get enough love or appreciation. Broken Empires by Evil Baby Entertainment. Sounds ridiculous. No stats, no classes, no levels. Based upon 125 other games. On the other hand, the company's name is Evil Baby Entertainment. So, I mean, how can you not? Who is the evil baby that broke you, sir? Show us on the map. Black Company. Love the books. It's 2026. Is there a market for a world based upon a book series that's, what, 30 years old? When there's so many other games and books based upon the Black Company? I mean, the stuff that his book inspired people to create, there were hundreds. But yeah. If you ever wanted to do Vietnam, the role-playing game, I guess. Discworld, huge fan base, been on the list for 2 years. Does it stand? Is there going to be enough of a market for people who want to play Discworld? Yeah, that's what happens with a lot of the stuff I buy on Humble Mumble. I don't read them. I just want them in case, you know. Old School Essentials. This should not even be on the list. Love Necrotic Gnome. Love Old School Essentials. It's one of the first retro clones I ever picked up. But it's just an errata. It's not even anything. And then Twilight Sword, which was Jeff's Games Box nominee for Game of the Year, or most anticipated Game of the Year. I was definitely excited to see it. There's a curiosity of how do you translate anime or video game to role-playing game? The medium of a Japanese fantasy anime, allows you to get away with ridiculous stuff. Nobody does anything normal in those games, right? The spells are always over the top. They have those big, cool animations and symbols with the giant circle forms behind the main characters. They're sitting there with their hands crossed, chanting, and then the circle starts glowing, and then slowly all these things come out of the circle, right? And it's like 2 minutes, and it looks freaking awesome. And the bad guys just stand there with their mouths open. It's like the transformation scene in every Japanese anime and every takusuku everywhere. But would it work? I mean, how do you translate that 2-minute scene of them summoning the whatever into D&D terms and express the same level of cinematism and have everybody else buy in? Where they're all like, yeah, I'm willing to have my guy stand here and not do anything and go, oh, he's summoning something. I should shoot him. But no, I'm going to stand here and wait. Unless, if you are a Power Rangers fan and you are a fan of RPM, there was the one episode where the scientist character explained everything. So, yeah. And when you watch that episode, even though it is tongue-in-cheek, and how the scientist explains why the physics of Power Rangers / Japanese anime works, you're like, oh yeah, okay, that actually sort of makes sense. Which is why it's one of my favorite Power Rangers series, because somebody finally asked the question and somebody finally answered the question. Why is it whenever we summon the suits, there's an explosion behind us? Why is it they just stand there? Anyways, yeah. Yeah, you'd have to use it couldn't be a Vancia magic system. It'd have to be a very cinematic role-playing game. Anyways, were any of those on your list for most anticipated tabletop role-playing game? Is there anything on there that excites you? Is there anything on there that disappoints you? Is there anything on there where you're just like, I don't fucking care? Yeah, or is it just all extensions of an already existing system? You know, you all created these wonderful games, and of course I want you all to succeed. But let's face it, the market is glutted. I know that, and I'm writing a role-playing game. A role-playing game that is a niche of a niche of a niche. I don't expect to make millions of dollars on the game I'm currently working on. I'm mostly writing it because I just want to. But yeah, I don't know. I don't. It's hard to predict. It's hard to predict what's going to be big this year. You know, last year's game was like the Shadow of the Demon Lord, but then half of these games you never hear about again. I mean, you know, and this right here, this is probably the biggest guilty party there, right? $13 million for a game based upon a book series. Then another game that's based upon the same book series. And then, yeah, what happened to it? Last I heard, number 35 on sales. City. Yeah. But anyways, congratulations, Deathbringer. Professor DM, you deserve it. Just because you're awesome. Evil baby games. Till next time, I'm the OG GM. If you appreciate the nonsense that's coming out of my mouth, let me know. Take a moment of your time to consider what your most anticipated game for last year and this year is. And if it's not my game, why? And let me know in the comments down below. Until next time, I'm going to take off. Oh, yes, Ars Magica, dude. Ars Magica. The best magic system for a fantasy role-playing game, I think, right? For anybody who's seen it, you'll understand. Underrated. Anyways, yep, take a moment out of your time to let me know in the comments down below what your most anticipated role-playing game for 2025 was, 2026 was. Why is it not my game? And we'll talk to you later. See ya.